Ya ol mea fo le eleng fa ngoi ka kan nu wa le ngi me nga mang wa ne ngo fo ngi ni mot si wang ai la ya som ang mo ma se ngo mai fang ngo ko ngo le wa au le yi fang ngo kai.
For millennia, the people of Manua have had an important relationship with this atoll and its inhabitants, the birds and other life that reside here.
Ole wa ona fe wa ye Manua i le ma ole te tu mu fo na Manua i e ole motu ai ole motu
Olo ye special matou nu e fa pea o te ngalue i te tonu o matou nu ai o te ea e fai ala ma abe i lo siusi o matai o na o mea tau tino e tau na pui pui ai tangatani o Manu.
The ancient name of the atoll is Muliava, meaning the end of a channel or pass. Another name is Manu, the place or island of birds. The European name for the atoll is Rose, and since 1973 has been protected as a National Wildlife Refuge of the United States. This status only allows visitation under special permission through the U.S. federal government, which means for decades the people of Manua have not been able to travel freely to the island as they had in former years.
Malama atili ai le aunga ma le tu tonu le aso ina ia mafai on tal tonu le fa sauina o mea ola ma ia ma Manu se lo ia.
This video documents the historical, traditional, and cultural importance of Muliava to the people of Manua. It is a place that has supported the community's customary lifestyle for centuries. There are thousands of coral atolls in the Pacific, some smaller than others. Many of the larger ones have human inhabitants, such as this one in Yap, Micronesia. They are formed on coral reefs that has surrounded high volcanic islands, which over the millennia sunk back down below the sea, leaving the reefs behind to continue to grow into atolls. Rose Atoll is thus what remains of an ancient volcanic island. It lies at the eastern end of the Samoan archipelago, which, moving west, consists of Ta'u, Olosenga, Oofu, followed by Aunuu, Tutuila, Upolu, and Savai, with the smaller islands of Manono and Apolima lying between Upolu and Savai. These volcanic islands rise at roughly 13 degrees south of the equator and are politically divided between the independent state of Samoa in the west and the United States territory of American Samoa in the east. Rose Atoll lies 80 miles due east of Ta'u, the largest island of Manua. The two other main islands of Manua are Ofu and Olosenga, which are connected by a bridge. The total land area of Manua equals 51 square kilometers, the majority of which lies on steep slopes behind the coastal villages. The 2010 American Samoa census indicates that less than 1,200 people were living among the 5 counties and 8 villages that constitute the Manua district. American Samoa Department of Education supports 3 elementary schools and 1 high school in Manua to serve Manua's children. Those wishing to pursue higher education or employment opportunities not available in Manua must leave for Tutuila and beyond. This pattern has led to a dramatic decline in the local population. Air and ship transport between Tutuila and Manua are limited. Ferry service on the MV Sili is at best once per week. Air transport in small planes is also not reliable. Importing and exporting supplies is a challenge. This means that the people who remain in quieter and more tranquil Manua must enjoy a way of life more reliant on traditional food sources from the sea and land. Most people in Manua participate in fishing, and fish is an important component of the Manua diet. From a young age, most children in Manua learn how to fish.
O menga o pia o le whaloloa leo kanga. O ngā kai whale. Kere ko i ngā whai. Whai o le maka. Whai whee. Whai a lili.
O le ula, rongo, malau, funga, funga laia.
Some forms of traditional salmon fishing have changed, as reported by one of Manua's fishermen.
Ia masala o mātou sa ngata ai le whaiva o le alafanga po le alonga atu. Salo o mātou le tausanga mulmul.
Meafua is the last of a generation to have used the va'alo, the traditional bonito trolling canoe, which today in American Samoa is relegated to the museum. The motorized modern Elia has now completely replaced it. Some traditional Manua fishing techniques are still being continued. For example, the use of the enu for the fishing of the iasina, or goatfish, a technique involving this traditional fishing weir, and also the lawatule, the collective fishing of the seasonal mackerel under the direction of a chief fisherman called Matuo Tautai.
E reira se mea se upenga po se mea whai ia kai. E whai mo mo le lau, ma le kui. I ngā verea, o le au manga e kai, whai pae kai sam.
Using coconut leaves that have been tied together, the men encircle the school of fish that visit seasonally. The fish are corralled into a special giant woven basket, which is hauled onto the beach. The multitudes of fish are brought up to the land to be counted. After that, they are carefully distributed to all the members of the village under the supervision of the chiefs. Besides the sea, the land is also extremely important for many reasons. Saufusi, or wetlands, are important areas for planting crops in Manua. All families of a village own a portion of the Saufusi in which to grow taro. Breadfruit and green bananas are also important staples providing starch in the Samoan diet. These foods are usually cooked in the traditional Samoan oven together with other Samoan delicacies, such as palusami, made from young taro leaves and coconut cream. Manua is rich in legends of their ancient past. They were, according to Samoan legend, the first islands of Samoa that the ancient progenitor god Tangaloa Langi created. making them politically significant to Samoa.
Da motu nei, o motu uma o tangaloa o ia lea sa fuafuaina I le atu Samoa. E o te tonunga na o mātou ia I nei stiu taloina, o motu tangaloa motu.
One Manua oral tradition tells how Muliava was used as a refuge over a millennium ago. A couple from the village of Whangae on Ta'u Island were set adrift in a small boat as a punishment from their chief. After a few days, they were washed ashore onto Muliava. There, on Muliava, the woman, who had been pregnant at the time, gave birth to a son. The son grew up on the atoll listening to stories of his parents' cruel punishment and vowed to someday seek revenge on the offending chief in Ta'u. When he was grown, he built a boat and sailed to Ta'u, where he subdued the offending chief and became a great leader of the people. In fact, he became the great Tui Manua, a ruler whose prowess in war, as well as at boat building, resulted in his rule and honor extending to not only all of Samoa, but also to many other islands of Polynesia. The Manua Islands became known as Motusa, the Sacred Islands.
O malai tele le ta ua le tele o malai o tofinga. O ilana e ta ua le fale ulo o Tui Manua.
Yau le whangai maale upu. O le whangai kupu mua kui mangu. Ia ngal maale le whaali mai au uka kui o le vai.
Manua's oral traditions also have repeated references to Muliava. According to one legend, the Tui Manua had a malai or meeting place on the ocean, halfway between Ta'u and Muliava.
Foi le tūlea. Lo i el malai o Tui Manua, foi le Ta'u o malai o pupe.
It was at this malai on the ocean where he would meet with visitors from other island groups. Manua tradition also speaks of the Tui Manua taking special trips to Muliava for rest and recreation.
Pio motu le e ta whawanga I e Tui Manua i ana ta whaonga mana se singa fo I. I le wasa o Pasifika o na mapu mai le i e ta whawa I ma whasa usau ai I le wasa.
The chain of Manua Island starts from Ofu, Olsenga, Ta'u, and ends up in Muliava. You know, in our language, it's the end. It's the end of something. Tel tonua o a kongo le fo il me o fa ngoa I o Muliava. E o mai ma e muli mai ngai la ko whainga whaiva I aso umawai. Ia ma malolo ai. Ia ma koe fo ia kua malu I le ku malola.
Here, the importance of Matasaua, the easternmost point of Ta'u, should be noted. It is directly west of Muliava and is the reference point for traveling to and from the atoll. While the ancient name Muliava is more commonly used on Ta'u, many people of Ofu and Olsenga refer to the atoll as Nu'u Manu.
Na whaingo o le Nu'u Manu po le motu manu. Ia ai o inae o whanga uma I ai manu o le lalolangi.
O le ngua sao le moku ia o le Nu'u Manu.
O le ngua e whanonga ia o I ngai koe inga fo maliu. O Nu'u Manu.
The name Nu'u Manu, meaning residence or territory of birds, denotes the ecological significance of the atoll to the people of Manua as the hatching ground for a variety of South Pacific seabirds. Various species traditionally assisted Samoans in predicting the weather, in navigation and in finding schools of fish. The atoll's European name, rose, is explained in several ways. One derives from the extraordinary pink color of the abundant coralline algae that grows on much of Rose Atoll's coral reefs. More historically related explanations also exist. The explorer named the atoll after his wife Rose, who was accompanying him on his around-the-world voyage. Yet another version attributes the name to the daughter of a man of mixed heritage who came from Apia to Ta'u in the mid-1800s.
Sa malanga mai le nei Manu ya ona pai people le ten Manu ile na fino tu Manu ia fa lanu na fine no e ngoi ya ro so la ai pe fa mo ma to ai
ile afe iva se lau tausanga sa fio ile fio ngol tu Manu ile nu o Muliava ma ave ia ile fu ai tu wai luma fa mauni ai o le nu o Manu tele ai le o le afe iva se lau o fa pio na sai ni ai le fengai nga mal malo tele
Mao ina tonu fo ina sisi ai le ua I fu an motusani.
When Tuimanua Elisara signed the deed of cession in 1904, the atoll belonging to Great Manua also became part of the U.S. territory of American Samoa. Later, in 1941, at the beginning of World War II, U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt designated Rose Atoll a Navy defense area, but it was never used for that purpose. In 1973, the atoll was established as a national wildlife refuge through cooperative agreement between the American Samoa government and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The refuge encompasses everything inside the red line, which outlines Muliava's reef in this aerial photo. Its two islets, Rose Island and the barren Sand Island, comprise 20 acres. The lagoon, 1,600 acres. Closure to the public is designed to protect the fragile ecosystems of the atoll. Permission of visitation must be obtained from the Office of Rose Atoll National Wildlife Refuge in Pago Pago. Despite this protection, a Taiwanese longliner tuna fishing boat ran aground on the atoll's outer reef in 1993, causing major ecological damage to the reef and its marine organisms on which the birds are also reliant. The waters were contaminated with thousands of gallons of diesel and lube oil. Decomposition of the iron hull in the water led to an outbreak of harmful algae which killed the coral. The reef is now recovering thanks to efforts from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the American Samoa Department of Marine and Wildlife Resources to remove the 250 tons of iron off the reef. The need to increase the level of protection from such environmental hazards was realized. In 2009, the Marine National Monument was established through a presidential proclamation under U.S. President George W. Bush, protecting 50 nautical miles around the atoll, shown here with the green square. Besides the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, other agencies with responsibilities in this area include the NOAA National Marine Fisheries Service, the National Marine Sanctuaries, and the American Samoa government.
Te mulmuli no vai o luese ma tau. Ole afe iva se lau onos fulfitu. O vai pea le motune. Lo fai malanga pe le nu o Manu e fa ngai ya va fa ngota.
Given that the people of Manua seldom have the opportunity to visit Muliava, a special trip was organized on board the MV Sili, American Samoa's ferry boat. Early Saturday morning, March 26, 2011, the ferry headed out from Pago Pago Harbor in Tutuila. The trip's purpose was to afford the opportunity for people of Manua to visit the atoll and experience it firsthand after so many years of only hearing about it from their elders.
Oli taimini ulo mato yai pe lungolba te po ilma na yo nei pai nga malanga ulo mato fai malanga mai ai to tele la wa tangat o e po yo lo fai malanga mai yo atu no man e asi ya yo ni ko yo pa sese yo atu yo fu ta u pala saum fitiuta.
In addition to people of Manua, also on board were members of federal and local government agencies. These agencies are now attempting to increase inclusion of Manua in planning processes with regards to the atoll. This trip is seen as part of that effort. It was an 8-hour ride from Tutuila to Ofu, where a meeting was held with local members of the villages to help stimulate dialogue and sharing of concerns.
La uwe o lo fulea le whasawino na te whare ma tulanga o la whongo kusai wa waingo o le ngu o manu.
In the proclamation that established the monument, it specifically said that commercial fishing was to be prohibited throughout the whole monument, so all the way out to 50 miles. So that's being done.
O le ngu leo le ngu wa sa o ia yo ka ko makua ia so unu vai mana ko discuss inga le motu le nei. Iwi ia lainga ku fa kasi ka ko makuku ina. Ya ele sa ia mo fa ia mo ko mo ia ko aku ko mun muli. King kui mo.
I think before I was kind of leery too, so pole ako ingena. But when I look at the program it's set up, I think it's to our benefit. Because right now in Luagako, we don't have commercial fishing boats. So I think this protection it protects us from the commercial fishermen that will come and take some of this without regard to conservation.
There are a lot of foreign vessels that are encroaching into local and federal waters without any monitoring and enforcement. One of the objectives here is really to monitor and control. Whatever we do, Manua will be at the forefront. In terms of the decision making, in terms of consultation, representing the American Samoa government, it will be Manua.
Residents throughout Manua were also interviewed about their concerns.
Pule to loa se upu to ilo ngutu. Ia le malo tele po ai foi ni e oni tamali I po ai lava. Ele ai ele I fono ele tasil fina ngalo manu tele ina ia avatu fa pene ia mato mesi.
The trip continued to Ta'u, where more people boarded for the voyage to the atoll. One schoolgirl expressed her excitement about going on the trip.
Say experience me for my Rose Island.
The next morning, after sailing through the night, the MVCD arrived offshore from the atoll, an exciting sight for all to see. The ship's small boats were offloaded for people to be ferried to the shore. All refuge policies were followed to ensure against the unintended introductions of any organisms or insects that could negatively impact the atoll's ecology.
Tonu le nganga o se fifianga ma na faiona sa ilu talu e o mai tonu nei nu stasio nu sa yaitu a manu o yaso umavai.
On shore, everyone had a wonderful day of learning about and experiencing the atoll from both above and below the waterline. The lagoon is teeming with fish and giant clams, the faisua, a traditional Samoan delicacy.
Ole faisua ole fe'e ia maltele a oisi I tu ai ngā whaiva. Ole tala alea to ina mātua, ole nei tu malo. Ia o whaiva nā e masani ona o iai. Ma sa tau nuu wai fo I Muliava.
They used to travel to Muliava to do this type of fishing called lepanga. I remember very vividly that one of the lepanga came in. The boat is almost sinking. It's full of fish, especially the shark.
Tu iai le popo o niu o me uma whapena whatasi ma le mauno le panga.
Muliava was also a turnaround and resting point when Manua fishermen went on their long-distance bonito fishing trips.
Talala ia whapeo I nei malo lo mai ai. Peo se mapsanga fo I nei whaiala to walwhanga o na mapumaile I nei.
While fish, clams, and coral proliferate in the lagoon, above the waterline, it is birds that dominate. Here is where many of American Samoa's seabirds hatch, either in nests in the trees or underground.
So right now I'm seeing a lot of eggs without the mothers, and then there's a hatchling there.
A variety of species make up the colony of seabirds and the atoll. The great and lesser frigate bird, called Atoll in Samoan, are easily distinguished by their forked tail. The very large masked booby, which nests on the ground, is called a fu'o in Samoan. Another kind of fu'o, also prevalent, is the red-footed booby, the color of its feet being its distinguishing mark. The third type of booby or fu'o is the brown booby called fu'o manuula. The prevailing bird species on one side of the island are the sooty terns, which nest on the coral rubble on the ground, and the black and brown noddies, the ngongo in Samoan, which nest both in the trees and on the ground. The graceful white tern or manusina is also found, as well as the red-tailed tropic bird or tavaitoto, nesting near the roots of trees in the interior of the island, its long red-tailed feathers being its special feature. All these various seabirds are dependent on the sea for their food.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
The close human presence appeared to make the bird nervous, though it did not fly away.
Ingo mai le mala wakula ngol fu'o. Makula e fafanga ai makro uyo. Ia fu'o ai masingo mai ni fango kai.
Foi mai. Ya, o se fianga le motu nei. Ono le tele o fingota. Tele o tuina Manu ese o mai mai. E fai me alofa mai ai la tofa na o lo fa mulia tu nei le motu.
Following the successful eradication of introduced rats in 1992 by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and American Samoa's Department of Marine and Wildlife Resources, bird chicks born here are no longer eaten by these predators. The next management goal is to eradicate the ants, which not only harm the birds, but also support the scale insects that are damaging the Pisonia trees, a species that is declining worldwide and which once dominated Rose Island. The atoll is an important nesting site of green turtles. These depressions in the sand are the evidence of past nests. The adult female turtle comes ashore and lays about 100 eggs. In about 60 days, the babies hatch and make their way to the shore. Most are eaten by predators before they reach the open ocean. The few that do survive may swim to far-off islands, such as Fiji, to feed on seagrass. After some 20 to 30 years, the females return to their birthplace to dig a nest and lay eggs, and so the cycle repeats. After 6 hours at Muliava, it was time to head back home. The trip to Muliava has revitalized Manua's links to their atoll and stimulated new interest among the younger generation.
My sweet rose Atoll. Everybody's trying to pollute the ocean. They think it's cool, but it's pollution. We got to talk about this right now because many people are destroying coral back to life with the fish and cut it down too much tree. But my sweet rose Atoll, my sweet rose Atoll, my sweet rose Atoll. Ooh, yeah.
Rose Atoll.
Ona fia rai ma nei amole Manu tele man file tele foi eu fu Manuele o tatia rungo nei nu Rosa tu, ele mang, ele masih ngufoi. Ang alu malanga I rosa tu. Ang alu I lo angku. Fumai mang I kilo mangu, ele mangu fifi. Fasana, ai sesi ni mi ayo fai suama. Ana inalai fasa fai fale.
The project of documenting Manua's oral histories and traditional uses of their atoll, which is known by 3 names, Muliava, Manu, and Rose, has illuminated the importance of the atoll to the people of Manua and Samoa as a whole. Perpetuating those traditions as a living heritage goes hand in hand with preserving the ecological health of the atoll and its surrounding waters.